Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Welcome to this little live stream, this afternoon live stream I decided to do today. It is Tuesday, November the 5th, 2019. It's 2:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Super chat just came in from Antonio Garcia. Thank you, Antonio. Aw, shit, is what Antonio just said. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Goes right towards the channel. And yeah, I had some time this afternoon, so I thought I would jump online and just talk some Halloween kills. Halloween, of course, is sort of the season of Halloween is wrapping up. Of course, it being November the 5th, we're already right in the middle of fall here in Toronto. The leaves are pretty much off the trees now. There's still some stragglers out there hanging on for their dear lives. No, help me. Oh, no. Oh, no, here I go. Ah! There's still those guys out there, but for the most part, it's looking pretty bleak like it usually does in November. So it was also a little chilly today. It was probably about 40 degrees Fahrenheit today, maybe 39, 40, so it's a bit chilly out there. And yeah, I just, with the little teaser that they released the other day, and of course I did do a video on that. That's on my channel. Those were my first thoughts. I wanted to get them up as quickly as possible. So those were my first thoughts. I've also had some time to let some things sink in. And I did make some predictions at the end of that video, but that was a pretty long video. It was probably about 25 minutes long or so, and not everybody watches everything until the very end. So I thought, why not do another video where I'm talking about it sort of right off the bat. Now, the first thing I want to say is this, the little teaser slash... Oh, I don't know. It's a teaser slash behind the scenes featurette, really, which is only about 20 seconds long. Anyway, the thing that they released on Halloween was cropped vertically for social media. And that is what you do. There's many times where I will be in the voiceover booth and I'll be doing an ad for Staples or, I don't know, Home Hardware or Home Depot or, whatever the case is. And I will, there'll be sets that I'll have to do. And some of the sets that I'll do will be for social media only. And I will be watching the image on the screen, and it's vertical. And that's what they do. But I don't understand. Listen, I know that most people play with their phones and look at their phones like this, which is why they crop them like that. But it came to my attention from a buddy of mine who said, well, I was on the IGN site, and they have a completely horizontal, fully like thing of the 20-second teaser. And I'm like, oh, you said, really? Why didn't they just release that and just get people to switch I hate vertical video. Get rid of vertical video. Hashtag get rid of vertical video, man. If you can't do this. Anyway, I understand why they do it, but it's irritating because you miss so many things. And having looked at the teaser again, horizontally, the way it was meant to be seen, there were some things that I noticed where I was like, oh God, if I had noticed that, then I would have been able to piece that together and it would have made more sense, right? So anyway, I cropped a few of the vast majority of the teaser sort of plays out as is. And even though you get to see more of the sides, there really isn't anything there of any interest. But there were a few shots where it was of interest to me. And that is why I saved them, and I wanted to just quickly show you them before I get into the predictions and answer some of your questions. Super chat, Nick Kunda, do you think the movie will end on a big cliffhanger? We will get to that, Nick. We will get to that. Thanks for supporting the channel, buddy. Okay, so let's go over to just those shots where you can actually see more of. Let me see here. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then do this. So here we go. So this is the... And another thing as well, yes, thank you to the 8,746 million people that commented on my video. Dave, that's the nurse from 2018, man. That's the nurse from 2018. Thank you so much for making that, let me just see here. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you for saying that. Although I do find it interesting from a sociological perspective, how it looks like a lot of people don't pay attention to what other people are commenting in the comments section, or they just don't care and they want to get their input in on it as well. Nonetheless, yes, so that was, this of course apparently is, she did appear for about, 15 seconds in the 2018 film. And whether or not it's Julian's mom, I know there are a lot of people that are saying it is. I don't know if it's because she's black and, Julian's black and they're the only two black people outside of Barker in the film, that maybe you just make that assumption because she's leaving for the night, going to a Halloween party. And obviously if she did have a kid, that kid would need to be babysat. And lo and behold, we see Julian being babysat. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I don't know if we have absolute confirmation of that. But nonetheless, here she is shooting. We can actually see now what she's shooting at because IGN actually released the full horizontal trailer. Thank you, IGN. And who is this coming out? I don't know. Is it Michael Myers? It looks like it could be. It could be if we zoom if we zoom right up on it here. It could be, those boots. Is that that could be it could be a bit of the mechanic suit there, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. I mean, she's shooting at somebody, and clearly she actually does shoot, so I would imagine, unless she's, completely mistaken of the identity of the person in the van here, then she's probably quite certain that it is Michael Myers. Let me see here. Okay, 1 second here. And let's move on to the next one, which would be... Why is that little thing not coming up? Not sure why. All right, this one here. Okay, so now this makes a lot more sense, because here on the left over here, as you can see, we have the fire hose. I made the speculation that it was either beginning to rain, which would have been pretty cool. I mean, it may have begun to rain. It's not like we had any, concrete, visible shots of the sky towards the end of the 2018 film. So clouds could have rolled on in unexpectedly and very quickly, and there could be a freak storm happening. I speculated that maybe that's what was, going on there, when all you saw was just sort of, this here. But I also said it could also be the fire hose from the fire department. And it looks like that is exactly what it is, because we can see the fire hose here on shooting its spray of water onto the roof. Now, a lot of people also piped in and said, no, this looks like it's a tool that firefighters use to break into doors, which is a Halligan tool, I believe is the name. I stand to be corrected on that, but that looks like that is what is known as a Halligan tool, and that is what he is holding, which leads us to then speculate that, well, what more than likely happens here, I mean, I think now we have an informed sort of speculation, because we can see the fire hose, we can see the fire, the Halligan tool, more than likely that is what it is. It still could be something else, but that is a good guess, that the fire department breaks in because they are probably unaware that Lori is not in there, because, Lori, Karen, and Allison leave prior to the fire department getting there. So for all they know, maybe there's people trapped in there. So they break in, Lori, are you here? Are you here? Something to that effect. And they come across Michael Myers, who takes them all out, which would be a pretty cool scene. I mean, I think there are others online that are speculating that as well. This is not, I don't pretend to say that is something that's original. I think it's you can look at this and sort of piece that together, that is a likely scenario of what happens here. But you never know. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens. And then, of course, we get the more horizontal shot of this as well, which makes a lot more sense, because clearly we can see Laurie Strode here in the reflection of the window, strapped into the hospital bed, and Karen in her Christmas sweater. I got a lot of messages from people saying, Dave, do you think it takes place at Christmas time because Karen's wearing a Christmas sweater? No, she was wearing this exact sweater at the end of the 2018 film. And I've only seen the movie twice, so even I remember that, because I thought it was just so... Just perfect for her character. Anyway, let's just leave it at that. So, so obviously this is probably in the hospital because you can see here is the hospital bed here like this, and this is Laurie's bed here, and you can see the back of Karen here right there. You can see the back of Karen. So Laurie is no doubt right over here on the right-hand side, and Karen is actually looking at Laurie. But when you crop the video vertically, you miss out on these details. Probably something that Blumhouse was counting on. They don't want you to see the details. And then this here, of course, is just a bit of a wider shot of a scene that I speculated on. It looks like I was right, because when you look at this image here, which was released to let everybody know that the film had wrapped, we see Marion Chambers here in the purple. I speculated that that's who it was, and the reason why I did is because I thought it was a nice throwback. Excuse me here, 1 second. I got to get back to my little thing here. A nice throwback here to the original Halloween. So I thought this has got to be Marion. It makes the most sense that if you're going to do this kind of scene with any character, you would do it with Marion. And so this makes the most sense to be her. And sure enough, it looks like it actually is her, because you can see the outfit here. So that has been pretty much, I mean, it hasn't been confirmed officially, obviously, but I think it's probably a good assessment to go on here. So no doubt Michael is probably going to smash the window, very reminiscent and throwback to what Marion Chambers experienced on October 30th. In 1978, that night, the devil's night, so to speak, as they say. So interesting. And then some people have asked me to go over what this all means here. Slates can vary because there's digital slates, there's slates that are not digital, but by and large, it's hard to see. This letter here is an A, and that would likely stand for camera A. They shoot major motion pictures, obviously, with multiple cameras. So this would mean camera A. This is 24. That probably stands for, I mean, it might stand for it. Usually the frames per second is somewhere underneath. I doubt that stands for 24 frames per second, although they are shooting at 24 frames per second, no doubt. This is likely, which means it's the 24th roll. Now, obviously, films are shot digitally now most of the time, so it's no longer a roll. It's more of a cartridge or a card. But this likely stands for the 24th, roll for all intents and purposes. And this here is the scene. So this would be scene, I'm thinking 51A, perhaps. The A means that it is they've changed angles. So often when you're shooting a scene, the scene will go here. So let's say it's camera A, scene 1. And then if you change the angle or change the lens, you'll then add a letter beside that scene. So it would become like 1A. So it's the same scene, but it's a different shot. And then this over here, this number here is, this would be take. So this is take 2. So this is the second take of this particular shot. That's ballpark. I can't really read what it says there, but knowing what I remember from the digital slates, that is likely what's going on there. At least I'm pretty sure I'm in the ballpark. So, anyway, yeah. So, just interesting stuff. I just wanted to quickly go over those because I just think it's so much nicer when you're able to get a bigger, fuller picture horizontally. So that always frustrates me when, let's see here. Where am I here? I am back. There I am. It always frustrates me when they release the vertical, the vertical video, I should say, of the trailers. And I understand why they do it. It works better on Instagram. It works better on Facebook. And I get it. But I'm just like, just release it horizontally and just have faith that people will go like this. You know what I mean? Because you get a better sense of everything. Release it the way it was intended to be seen. That's how I feel. Anyway, so, predictions. Okay, well, let me see. I didn't miss any super chats here, did I? Super chat from Bobby Reeves says, Dave, give me a Busta Rhymes trick or treat. Trick or treat, motherfucker! Aunt Dota says, Dave, side note, we need more hate mail. Jerbees? Yes. I haven't received too many. So I will, I'll make sure to get on that. So my prediction, is essentially this. It's that I believe the vast majority of this movie is going to revolve around the vigilante, quote unquote, group of Marion, Tommy, Lindsay, Lonnie, and maybe Brackett. But Myers, for whatever reason, escapes. And when I say for whatever reason, we don't know how he's able to, not get burned, right? It looks like that he's not burned at all. It looks like the fire has had no effect on him. So whether he was able to get into some alcove or crack or corner where he's not affected by the heat, I don't know. And then he jumps out and he kills all the firefighters. That sounds like that might be a really cool scene. But nonetheless, the word is now out. And I think that very much like the first Halloween from 1978, where it was very close-knit, very claustrophobic. When you get to Halloween 2 from 1981, the cat's out of the bag. The media is involved, right? The neighbors are locking their doors, bolting their windows, checking their, their lights and all this kind of stuff. So it's now known that Michael Myers is on the loose. And everybody is searching for him. We really get that vibe in Halloween 2. I think you're going to get that vibe here as well. It makes sense. But Laurie, as I mentioned in my previous video, I don't think she's going to be a part of the entire thing. I think she's going to be in the hospital recovering because she looks really wounded. And I think that's where she's going to meet Brackett. And I think that's where some great exposition is going to take place between her and Brackett. And I think that's where she's going to stay most of the movie. At least judging from what I'm seeing so far and how I kind of think that they're probably leaning in some of the things that I've been hearing. But then Tommy and Lindsay, who have an emotional history with Laurie, find out that Laurie has been almost mortally wounded and is in the hospital, and they're angry about that. And for wherever, depending on where they are in their lives, they want to go out and seek almost a sort of revenge. It's not painted for you and served to you on a silver platter, but it's more of just this idea that Laurie's in the hospital. Holy shit. Tommy's pissed off, Lindsay's pissed off. And when I say pissed off, I don't mean they're like, let's go out and fucking do it. I just mean in terms of the narrative, right? It's that state of mind, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And then, and through that, we spend a lot of time with Tommy and Lindsay and Marion and Lonnie, because through that, you're going to get the flash. I have no doubt that when we meet Lonnie for the first time, and Cameron is probably back as well, that is when, Lonnie, through some sort of exposition, tells a story about this time that he bumped into Myers, unbeknownst to us. Nobody's ever known about that. Tommy probably didn't even know about that. Lindsay didn't even know about that. Nobody's known about that, and maybe it's something he's kept inside to himself. And when we meet Lonnie in the actual film, and he's talking about this experience, that's when we cut back to the flashback. It makes the most sense that the flashback about Lonnie would happen when Lonnie is on screen. My guess is that Lonnie and Tommy probably, there's some tension there. And I would suspect that by the end of the movie, if they both survive into Halloween Ends, I would suspect by the end of the whole thing that they've made up. They've let bygones be bygones, or somebody maybe Lonnie sacrifices himself to save Tommy or something to that effect. So then Tommy sees Lonnie differently moving forward. It's a nice bit of an arc, or Lonnie gets what he deserves and nothing happens. I mean, who knows, right? But, and I suspect that when we see Tommy and Lindsay, that again, there will be some exposition. We will learn about how they've been dealing with the things they've been dealing with. And because there's so many returning characters, there doesn't leave a lot of time for Laurie to be the center focus of the movie like she was in the 2018 film, which is why I think that the vast majority of her scenes are going to be recovering in the hospital. while shit is going on out there. Then what ends up happening is that everything moves to the hospital. The climactic moments move to the hospital. So unlike Halloween 2 from 1981, the entire movie doesn't take place at the hospital. And I know they bounce back and forth between Loomis and the hospital, but the entire movie essentially is there because Michael makes his way to the hospital fairly early, and then he's searching the hospital trying to find her, right? I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think that if Myers does end up at Haddonfield Memorial, it'll be like the third act of the movie, like the climactic stuff where he comes face to face with Laurie. And then everybody's there because that's where Brackett is, because he's, a security guard, maybe. It leads Tommy there and Lindsay there and Marion there. And it's like the whole band is together and they're all... I suspect that that's probably where it's going to go. And I'm really curious to see how they structure these three films, because even though this is technically the second movie, the third movie, really, because Halloween 2018 was the second movie, it is a soft reboot. So for all intents and purposes, this is the second movie, and this is a trilogy that they're doing. Well, if they're doing a trilogy and they have a big story they're telling, then that would tell me that that this is a 3-act play. At least it should be. That's how you should approach something like this. So the second act is what, right? It's usually always the darkest for our protagonist. It doesn't usually end very well. So with a name like Halloween Kills, that lends itself to what to expect in terms of the narrative. So it's likely that this movie, I would like to see this movie not end well. I would like to see Blumhouse pull the trigger, have the balls, and kill some people that we're attached to. You kill off Tommy, or you kill off, Lindsay, or you kill off Marion, or Lonnie is probably the most expendable because his character is not the most, he's the bully, right? So if you're going to kill anybody between anybody that's coming back, who do you kill? Lonnie, because nobody cares about Lonnie, right? But at the end of the day, I think you should have the balls to go and kill somebody, and I mean really kill them now, take them out, sacrifice their character. They don't have to go out like a chump. You can have them go out in a blaze of glory, in some sort of respect to honor the character. But I would like to see that happen because Halloween Ends then should be the resolve. That doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be some horrible shit that happens in that movie too, but it should be the resolve. So I'm really hoping this middle act is dark, very dark, and where we leave the theater going, fuck, like that was shit, man, right? That's how I think it should be. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, that's basically the direction I think they're going based on what I'm hearing from a few of my sources and based on what I'm seeing. So just to quickly recap before we jump into your questions is that I'm suspecting that the vast majority of the movie in terms of Laurie will take place at the hospital, and they will bounce between what's going on out there, between Tommy, Lindsay, and Marion, and the nurse chick with the gun and all that stuff, and they'll go back to Laurie at the hospital. And Laurie might be watching the events unfold on TV, and Brackett is likely now a security guard at the hospital in his old age. He sees Laurie. There's some nice exposition there between him and Laurie. And then they bounce to what's going on out there. Tommy's got that bat. He's like, I gotta take him fucking down. He's got, Lindsay is like, hey, what's going on? And Marion shows up because she heard that shit went down, and she's, all that stuff. So, that's what I think it's leaning towards. And and like I said in my previous video, I'm really interested in knowing, between everybody, I'm most interested in knowing about Marion and Brackett, because those are the two characters that likely could have had a relationship moving forward with Dr. Loomis. And Marion, Loomis didn't die right away. So if Myers was captured at the end of the 78 film, hey, I didn't do it, then he was put in the sanitarium again. So Loomis didn't die right away. There were many years, 10 or 15 years, 20 years maybe, with Loomis and Michael and maybe even Marion. So Marion is going to have some insight. Again, you got to keep the shape ambiguous. You have to keep the enigma of that character intact. But I like the idea that Marion might be able to bring in some insight about Loomis and maybe have some little things that she'll talk about. I really like that. So that interests me. And then Brackett as well. I mean, Michael killed his only daughter, as far as we know, and so did Brackett have a relationship with Loomis after that? Because remember, Halloween 2 doesn't exist. So all that, you let him out, and seeing it, that never happened. Never happened. So the last time we saw Brackett was when he pulled up in the car and was like, "Where are you? I've been looking for you. I found the car. He's 3 doors down. You go around the front. I'll keep the..." That's the last time we saw him. So did he go to the sanitarium to meet Michael, to try to get answers? Did he try to have a relationship with, the sanitarium, the hospital? Who knows? I don't know. Those are the 2 characters that I'm most interested in, believe it or not. Okay, so let's jump to your questions here. Let me go back. There were a couple of super chats that came in, and I want to make sure I get them. Let me see here. Stuart Johnson, thanks. Stuart says, "Dave, why don't they shoot Halloween movies in Illinois?" It could be a number of reasons. There could be taxes. Some states give better tax incentives to shoot there. That could be a reason. Nathan Oswald says, "Kyle Richards looking so damn fine." Yeah, she looks good. She's very pretty. Let me see. The Shape says, "How will Sartain and Hawkins be mentioned in Age Kills?" Well, maybe Marion will mention him. I think Hawkins will be mentioned. Hawkins will probably be mentioned as a throwaway line in the sense of Laurie will find out that Hawkins was murdered and they'll just leave it at that. Sartain might be mentioned that he was found dead, but you might hear his name again through Marion, because it's like, did Marion work with Sartain? I mean, Marion's likely retired, but did Marion work with Sartain? We don't know. There's a high probability that might be true. So she might be able to shed some light more on not only what Loomis was doing, but what Sartain was doing as well. So who knows? I just want to say, was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so. There was a question that I got. Somebody asked me a little while ago, am I upset that it looks like they're going to show how Michael escaped from the fire? Because I was somebody that said, you don't need to show that. And you don't. You don't need to show it at all. As long as the characters in the movie, when I say the characters, I'm talking about our main protagonists, right? So as long as your Laurie's, your Tommy's, your Lindsay, whatever the case is, and the authorities, as long as they are just as perplexed and dumbfounded at the fact that Michael got out somehow as we, the audience, are, then you don't need to just serve it on a silver platter to the audience. Oh, this is how he did it. You don't need to do that. I know some fans want to know. I don't believe you need to know. You don't have to paint it like he walked through a wall, but he's the boogeyman. He got out. How? I don't know. And the characters are just like, what the fuck is going on? If the characters didn't acknowledge the weirdness of that and being dumbfounded by that, then that would seem really lame, because you would do that. Like, you would totally, I would do that, right? If you and I were, in that position and we had everything locked, signed, sealed, and delivered, and we were shoving the fucking thing, and we went on that, and all of a sudden we find out he escaped unscathed. Well, you and I would be having a conversation going, what the fuck? How did that? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. And that shows that that the audiences, or that the characters, are just as like, what the hell, right? So anyways, it looks like you see him on the porch amongst the fire with that Halligan tool in his hand. I don't think you need to show anything. Would it be a cool visual in terms of him taking down a bunch of firefighters amongst a burning house? Yeah, that's really cool. I agree. And I'm okay with that as long as Michael has the upper hand. You see, if Michael is the dominant force within showing how he escapes, then it doesn't feel as chintzy to me, and it doesn't paint Michael in this weird sort of light. Like at the beginning of Halloween 5, we see him struggling to get out of this hole, and then he's floating down the river. He's supposed to be the boogeyman. He's supposed to be, the epitome of evil. right? It looks weird to see him in a vulnerable position, which is why it looks so lame at the end of Halloween 5 to see him in chains with his mask still on, kneeling next to a water fountain like he's going, oh, shucks, they caught me. That's just, ew, it's gross. It's cringy. That's not the way that we're supposed to be seeing him. Right? He is the boogeyman. He is the epitome of evil. So if we see him escape, I would prefer not to do that because you don't need to. But if you want to do it because you have this cool scene you want to put to film, okay. As long as he is the dominant force, he is still the boogeyman within that escape. He's still the boogeyman within that scene. Then it doesn't feel as weird or cringy, right? Even though we're seeing him escape, he's in control. So that's what I have to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. I feel like Forrest Gump. Nathan Oswald says, do you think we'll see flashbacks with de-aged legacy characters? No, I don't. Luke Gully said, thank you, Nathan, by the way. I don't think we will because de-aging technology is really expensive. And Blumhouse likes to keep their budgets low. Now, will Halloween Kills and Ends have a bit of a bigger budget than Halloween 2018? Yes, likely, because with success, salaries also go up. So it's likely that everybody is also getting paid more. But I mean, de-aging technology, I mean, look at the money that The Irishman had to factor. Now, I know that's for like a lot of the movie, but still, I mean, even if it's like 30 seconds of screen time, that could cost you several $1 million. I mean, it's a lot of money to de-age people. So you never say never, but I doubt it. Let me see here. Luke Gully says, what do you think is next for the Halloween franchise after the new trilogy? I don't really know, buddy. I'm really hoping they don't reboot it. This should be the end of Halloween as we know it. This is the end of Halloween as we know it to be, connected to the 1978 original. Now, if you want to reboot Halloween 5-10 years, not 5, like let it go for a while. I mean, why would you reboot this story about a boogeyman, the guy escaping from a mental asylum, 6-year-old killing his sister? Why would you reboot that story 5 years from now? Can you really tell it better than you just did? Let it go for a while. I think when it comes to Halloween, I know people, it's hard because Michael Myers is the brand. And if you have a Halloween movie without that brand, it can be a bit tricky. But at the same time, the anthology sort of philosophy and approach to filmmaking is more in the pop culture consciousness than it has ever been. And I think that could you turn the Halloween series into an anthology? I think you could, and I think people could buy into it if you create a sense of emotional attachment to the universe. Like I've often said, old Charlie Bowles. What if there was an old Charlie Bowles film? Or what if it makes the transition from film to streaming, where you have the Halloween universe, and now you're talking about Charlie Bowles. Maybe there's other creepy, weird, fucked up, crazy things that happen on Halloween time that are not connected to Michael Myers, but they're happening in a town 30 miles down the road, or 50 miles down the road, or somewhere else. Or look at Season of the Witch, right? Season of the Witch, it's not a very good movie. It's loved, it's a cult classic, but I've always looked at Season of the Witch. I like it, but for me, there's so much untapped potential there. And when I say there's untapped potential, that's a positive thing. You could take that story and expand on it as well. I don't know what they're going to do. They'll probably give some breathing room, but whatever it is, I don't think you should continue with Michael Myers, at least not now. Let some time go by. Let this sink in for a bit and just, focus on other things, because the story of Michael Myers has been told ad nauseum, and we get it. And if these next two films can be just as successful, or at least almost so, then you've done, you've done it. But the more sequels you make in this particular incarnation, eventually you're going to run out of ideas. You're going to be doing things that are contradicting the reasons why you came back to do this in the first place. There's only so many sequels you can do with this particular intent of the character before you start running into shit shows. And you've heard me say that multiple times. So I do believe Halloween Ends should be the end of this incarnation. And then maybe turn to an anthology after that. It's fascinating. Let's see here. A couple super chats came in. Brooke Louie. Hey, Brooke Louie. A new patron of mine, by the way. Brooke, hi, Dave. Your answer got cut off last live stream. Yes, I sent you a tweet about that. Why did they say the brother and sister was a rumor when part 2 never happened in this universe? Oh, wonderful. Well, now here's an opportunity for me to say that. Yes, so Brooke Louie asks, hi, Dave, your answer got cut off last live stream, which is true, it did. Why did they say the brother and sister was a rumor when part 2 never happened in the Halloween universe? Well, like I was saying before, in Halloween 2018, there is the throwaway line, and it is a throwaway line, when Andy says, no, that's just something people made up. When her friend says, I thought they were brother and sister, or something to that effect. And you're right, when you look at it at face value, it's actually completely unnecessary, because Halloween 2 from 1981 never happened. So if Halloween 2 from 1981 never happened, then it's likely to assume that nobody ever thought that Michael was Laurie's sister, because why would you? The original Halloween was supposed to be that one-off film where she was not related to him at all. Not at all. So you're right, but that was only done for the fans. That was done for the fans, and for the average moviegoer who just through pop culture understands that Michael and Laurie are brother and sister. You don't have to be a diehard Halloween fan or a diehard horror fan necessarily to understand that, oh, Michael and Laurie are brother and sister. So that was done purely for the average moviegoer. The hardcore fan knew that this was a movie that was a direct sequel to the original film, but that's why. It's the same reason why Laurie, when she's being interviewed by Aaron and I forgot her name now, but when she's being interviewed, she says point blank, and let's not forget he's a human being. I mean, why would you? Well, that makes a little more sense, because the mystique around Michael that he's more than that. And I actually didn't like that line, because I actually have a love-hate relationship with that line that Laurie said. And let's not forget he's a human being, because you guys know me. I am a huge proponent of the original intent of the character of Michael Myers, which is that he is a human, but he has that slight supernatural edge. There's something about him that is so weird and so mysterious, we cannot quantify it. We cannot measure it. We cannot put our finger on it. And that must remain intact. You cannot reveal what that is, because then it ruins the mystique of the character. So yes, he is a human being. Even in the first movie, he is a person. It's not like he was born of a virgin birth, or he just, materialized out of thin air. He is a human, but I like keeping the enigma there, right? And I thought when Laurie said, and let's not forget he's a human being, I was like, yes, but let's not, like, in the 2018 film, and this, when I'm saying this, then it really is like, whoa. I thought they almost humanized him too much, and I think they should have split the difference a bit, because you still want to keep that mystique there. So anyway, yes, Brooke, that is why. It was just for the fans, the casual fan that was like, I thought they were brother and sister. But you're right, technically it wasn't needed, if you want to be true to the actual story being told. Super chat from Ethan LeBlanc says, hey Dave, I heard that Aaron, the guy playing young Michael in the flashback, was also Courtney's stunt double from H18. Do you know if that's accurate? Stay sharp. I believe, thank you by the way, Ethan, great supporter of the channel. I believe that is true. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that there is some truth to that. Yes, I believe that is true. And I think his name is Aaron. At least that's what a source tells me. Okay, let me see here. Super chat from Honest Dad. He's an honest dad, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think the shotgun blowing off half of Michael's hand was a mistake? It made sense with H4O as one and a done film, but not as a trilogy. No, I don't think so. I don't know if I would have done it. I might have left that creative choice until Halloween ends, or knowing that we're going to discard this character very soon for the reasons that you worry about. But I think it's interesting. So now it creates a new dynamic for the character. How is Michael going to, do what he does with his, the fact that his hand, the fingers on his hand have been blown off. So what is he going to do? How is he going to grab on to people? How is he going to hold on to people? How is he, what is he going to do? Because it's his left hand and Michael's right-handed, presumably, although there were quite a few shots. I don't know if James Jude Courtney is left-handed, but there were quite a few shots in the 2018 film where he was walking around with a knife in his left hand. But anyway, I wouldn't worry about it. It might actually add a nice grittiness to it to see Michael grabbing on to things or having to compensate for the fact that he's lost, I guess, 2 of his fingers. I'm okay with that. It's interesting. Okay, just getting to these super chats. Lee Daly, thanks, Lee, says, Dave, does the difference in the way Castle and Warlock play Michael bother you when you watch Halloween 2, 1981? I think it used to bother me more when I was younger. Not really. I mean, I would prefer that Dick Warlock honored what Nick did. But that's not Dick's fault, because nobody on set told him what to do. I mean, according to Dick, he's, and this is out there. I mean, he said this multiple times. He says, nobody was telling me what to do. I thought I would do this. I thought I would do that. And they're just, nobody was telling me. So I just like, okay, how is this? Like, yeah, that's fine. Which is unfortunate, because I don't think even back, see, now it's different. We know that Christopher Nelson was working really closely with James Jude Courtney on the set of the 2018 film. Now, whether he's working as closely on this film or he's just sort of there because what he's been able to sort of teach and help James with, he now knows, so he carries over into this movie. But in the 2018 film, he was helping James to see things a bit more objectively, because obviously you have the mask on, he's got the prosthetic on his eye, so he can only see out of one eye per se. Chris was sort of his eyes of whether is the walk right, is that okay? Because they were trying to mirror, while still making it his own, mirror Nick Castle's vibe, and I thought he did a great job. So, but when it comes to Halloween 2, I don't think they recognize because Nick was just, you see, we look at Halloween 1 like Nick was doing all these. No, Nick was just walking. He was literally if you've ever seen Nick Castle at a convention get up and walk around the room, he looks like Michael Myers from Halloween 1. Now, granted, he's a bit older now and, maybe not quite as spry as he used to be, but he literally looks like it's funny, because that's all he was doing. So nobody really recognized until later on, when we could look at things objectively, wow, what Nick did was so important. Now, the conscious decision to sit up like this and turn his head very methodically and robotically, that I don't know if that was directed at Nick. I can't remember, or if Nick just did that instinctually. But that is a very specific character trait, which unfortunately has never been carried over. Although James Jude Courtney did do a pretty good job of that in the 2018 film, but he sat up very fast, right? He was very fast like this, and obviously he didn't have time to turn his head or anything. But yeah, so I mean, it doesn't bother me really. It's I would have preferred it to be the other way, though, because Dick is a little slow in that movie. All right. Imran Malik says, hey, Dave, love your critique of all things Halloween. You demand. Question, how long do you think the flashback scene will be? I hope it's substantial, at least 10 minutes. Oh, I hope not. I hope it's 10 minutes. No, it won't be 10 minutes. I mean, think of that. If a movie is 90 minutes long, 10 minutes of it is a flashback, it's not going to be 10 minutes. I would suspect that it is, it depends. There's, as I mentioned in a previous video, there are a few ways to do a flashback. There is a flashback more along the lines of what you're talking about, although not nearly as long, where it feels like a fully fleshed out, realized scene. Whereas if you had walked into the theater at that moment, you would think you were watching a movie that takes place in 1978 because it's fully fleshed out and realized, and maybe it lasts for a minute, right? And then there's the type of flashbacks. Like the perfect example, the one I just said, was like It Chapter 2, right? If you've seen It Chapter 2, there are fully fleshed out, realized scenes with the kids in that movie that you would think you were watching It Chapter 1, just scenes you hadn't seen, right? So there's that way to go about it. But then there's there's another way, which is sort of echoes, and it feels like a dream, right? Where they're doing a flashback. The scene isn't really fully fleshed out or realized. It's a bit hazy. There's like a dreamlike hue maybe over the picture as somebody is talking about something they remember back in 1978 or something to that effect. So that's another way to do it. There's many different ways, and I'm hoping that whatever it is, it's not going to be 10 minutes long. And if it is, well, then I'll eat cud. But I'm certain it's not going to be that long. But what I hope it does, though, is that it makes sense. When you think of the original film from 1978, at the end of the day, there really is there's certain moments you can point to and go, well, it was probably here. Or you know what, it was probably here. But it's cutting it close. When you watch that first film, which was supposed to be a one-off movie, right? We know that. There really isn't a lot of room for Lonnie to have some sort of run-in with Michael Myers, because we pretty much know where Michael Myers is at every second of every moment. Now, there are certain moments where he does appear outside and you can go, oh, well, you know what, when that scene's happening, I agree. Having watched the movie just the other night on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, there is definitely some moments where you could do it. My worry is as long as it feels organic, because now you are adding history to the 1978 film. So when you watch that 1978 film, you will no longer watch it the same way, because there will be a moment in that movie which will remind you, oh, this is where he runs into Lonnie Elam. And that worries me, because it's got to feel organic. It can't feel shoehorned in. It's got to make sense. Now, I trust that the fine folks at Blumhouse and David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and, I trust that they know that. Ryan Turk, they know that. It's got to feel organic. I can't watch the flashback scene and go, well, that doesn't make any sense because this thing is, he was at the Wallace house the whole time. I don't understand. It's got to be organic, because Lonnie also has a trick-or-treating orange pumpkin. Well, when we see Lonnie in the 1978 film, we see him twice. When he's bullying Tommy at the school and they all take off and Richie runs into Michael, right? And then we see them running up to the Myers house. Both times he's not carrying an orange pumpkin. So at some point throughout the night, he's gone trick-or-treating, we assume. But where are his buddies? Where are his friends, right? When does this take place? So that worries me a little bit. I just hope it feels organic and it doesn't fundamentally change too much about the 1978 film. All right, let me see here. Super chats come in. Tyler Stresnak, thank you, Tyler, says, Dave, how should Michael be killed in your opinion? Well, I go and watch my concept video, my Halloween 2018 sequel concept idea video. For those of you that have not watched that, it's 2 hours and something long. It's me going over my sequel concept idea to a sequel to Halloween 2018. And then when you're done watching that, watch the next video that I uploaded right after that, which is me explaining the symbolism and the deep layers that are there in terms of the ending and why I made the creative decisions I made. Because some people might get lost and not understand the nuance of what's going on in terms of that ending. So I think you should do that, because I don't want to give too much away, but I think I think you can kill Michael Myers and still have people feeling a sense of that he's still out there. And because that's the trick. That's the trick. And I think that I was able to achieve that in my concept idea. Sweet Tea. Thank you, Sweet Tea, for your channel, my friend. Hey, thank you so much, Sweet Tea. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Okay, I think that's... Did I miss any more? Dun, 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 dun. I don't think I did. Just always like to make... Oh! Yes. No, I don't think I did. Oh, wait. No. Okay. Just I always like to make sure that I'm getting those super chats. Here's one. The Shape. The night he came back. Live commentary, maybe. Oh, maybe. I'll think about it. I'm of course very. I think I just spat on my keyboard. When you're talking as much as I do in this, you spits all over the place. Maybe. Bruce and I are very much involved heavily in the development of It's Me, Billy. We have a production meeting this coming Thursday evening as well to dive into draft number 2. So maybe, you never know, maybe. Nick Kunda says, will it end on a cliffhanger? Oh, right, Nick. Right. Thank you for saying that again. And thank you for support to the channel. I think it should. That's what I was getting at earlier when I was talking about it being a 3-act play. I think it absolutely should, because, you know, when you say that you've, like, again, I mean, it's not a trilogy, it's 4 films, but for all intents and purposes, it is. And this is your middle act. This is your second act. So yes, I do think it should end on a cliffhanger. Now, what that is, I don't know. I haven't really given much thought to that. I'd have to think about that. But it should leave us not on a hopeful note. It should leave us on, it should leave us on a very sort of awful note. And like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You know, kind of like what The Last Jedi should have done. Anyway, apparently I missed a super chat. Let me go back here, buddy. Let me go back, see if I can find your super chat. Yes, if I miss a super chat, don't be afraid to say so, because there's a lot of... Okay, here's David Cummings says, Dave, I got a chance to be an extra on the movie. It was amazing. Can't wait for it to come out. And some great scenes. AMH is awesome guy in person. Very nice. Awesome, David. Great to hear. Can't wait. Yes, here we go. Rebel Rick says, do you think there will be any reference to my favorite girl, Annie, now that Charles Cyphers is returning? And what's your opinion on her character? Rebel Rick, if Annie is not mentioned in this movie, and you have her father returning in this movie, that is a failure of epic proportions. There is very little doubt in my mind that Annie will be mentioned in this movie, and probably through exposition between Laurie and Brackett. That's what I'm assuming, right? That he will have, and maybe we'll begin to know what he's been struggling with and how hard it's been for him to do that. So yes, there's no doubt in my mind that I think we are going to. And what's your opinion on her character? Her character? I mean, she's not the most likable character. I mean, her character is iconic, just as Linda is and Bob, because of what surrounds the movie. But let's just put it this way. Although I am partial to brunettes, if I had a choice to date either Annie or Linda, as annoying as Linda might be with her totalies, and although she is a blonde, she's just her. I mean, her personality is just much more attractive. So I like her character more because she just seems more fun. Annie just seems like she's just like, I don't know, yeah. It's like, Annie, cheer up. I don't even think I saw her smile in the whole movie. So, and that's not a knock against Nancy Keys, who played her, or Nancy Loomis in the movie, of course. Her name is no longer Loomis. But yeah, she's a little, kind of a bit of a downer. Okay, I think I've got all the super chats there. I believe I have. Scrolling down. Wow. Okay. Lots of 530. This, I can't remember if this is the most I've had watching at one time. I know the most I've had, this might be it. We might have done it, folks. I remember the last time I had over 500 or this many people watching was when back in about April or May of 2018, when they first dropped those images of Halloween 2018, Michael in the closet and all that. And my buddy Bruce was here, and we decided to go live and talk about it. And like, we had like, I can't remember the exact number. Maybe I could go back into the history. I wonder if I go back to history and find out. But it was over 500. So either way, this is the second, as of right now, this is the second most I've ever had while doing a live stream. Thank you so much. You guys rock. Maybe it has something to do with it being, 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. And more people can tune in, even though there are a lot of people also at work. Let's see here. Chris Hurley says, flashback of her singing Oh Paul. No, I don't think so. Davion? Devon, maybe? Fowler? Am I saying that right? Davion? Probably butchering that for some reason. They'd have a manhunt for Michael. They'd have to broadcast his name and face on the news. So my question is, how would you feel about Michael's face being broadcast in the movie? Well, yes, they might do that, but they don't have to show the audience that. Right? So maybe they may, and here's what Michael Myers looks, and they show his face, but you as the audience don't have to see that. The characters can see that, but you don't have to see that. So I think that would be fine. And they don't even have to do that anyway. They can just jump right into the local news about how Michael Myers is back out on the loose and all that kind of stuff. They don't need to show that. But I understand what you're saying. Lucy Chavez says, hi, Dave. Hi, everybody. I'm watching on my lunch break. Awesome, Lucy. Michael Myers says, do you think we will see the first responder arrive in the 1978 flashbacks? Yes, I think you do. Because in those images that were released about a month or two ago, was it that long ago? I don't know. Anyway, we have images of Lonnie kneeling down with a spilled bucket of Halloween candy and 2 Haddonfield police officers, presumably from 1978. So, yes, I think we definitely will. Let's see here. Let me just scroll here. Almost Brock says, there is no Jesse. I'm Jesse now. That's right. A Nightmare in Ups. Yes, that's right. Also, folks, Dylan's New Nightmare, which is the fan film that I am playing Freddy Krueger in. We still need your help, folks. We still need your help. Let me go. I'm going to do this right now. I forgot to do this earlier. I'm going to put a link in the description to the Indiegogo campaign. And if you guys have not checked it out, please do so now, because we're closing in on the end of the campaign. I'm putting a link in the description. It's going to be under DNN campaign. There's a link in the description right now. Click on that link, and that will take you to the Indiegogo campaign. And I am playing Freddy Krueger in a fan film starring Miko Hughes, who of course was in the original Wes Craven's New Nightmare back in 1994. But we, in order to make the movie from start to finish, we need to raise that production budget. So if you guys can go and check it out, if you're interested, look at the perks. The perks are incredible for what you get. The film is being produced by The Horror Show, and also Vincent DeSante, who produced and directed Never Hike Alone. He's doing Never Hike in the Snow now. I mean, this is the best in terms of quality you can get in the world of fan films. And I'm really excited and honored that I have been tapped to play Freddy Krueger in Dylan's New Nightmare. And we're currently raising money for that now. Check out the perks. Anything you can, support, no matter how big or small, is greatly appreciated. It would be awesome if you could do that, because if they don't raise it, then they might not be able to do the whole film. And that's just the reality. That's just the reality of making films. It costs money to make films. And so they might end up shooting like a concept piece or something, or they might end up shooting a couple of scenes of it. But unfortunately, if they're not able to raise the money they need to be able to deliver the production value and the type of movie that they want to, then they just won't be able to do it. So check it out if you can, guys. It's greatly appreciated, because I want to be able to deliver a Freddy Krueger performance that'll knock your socks off, and hopefully I'll be able to do that for the entire film, if they can raise the budget. Okay, let's see here. Super chat came in from Tony. I always get this wrong. Spicali, am I saying that right? Spicali, very much appreciated, buddy. Just supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Awesome stuff. Let's see here. Big G says, do you think Sheriff Brackett is still angry after 40 years because of Annie's death and wants revenge? I hope so. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go out and seek his revenge, because he's an 80-year-old guy, but maybe his revenge will come when Michael comes to the hospital, right? And there's a confrontation between Brackett and Michael at the hospital. I could totally see that happening. So that might happen. 100%. We shall see. Let's see here. Did I miss another super chat? I don't think I did. Yeah. The link is in the description to Dylan's New Nightmare Indiegogo campaign. Jim Dorsey says, I hope awkward written humor doesn't ruin H Kills. I hope so. That was broadly, that was one of the major criticisms of the 2018 film. And it's not that humor, it's not humor in and of itself. It's unnecessary humor. Right? It's humor just for the sake of, hey, this is kind of fun. It's unnecessary. I got peanut butter on my penis. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary, and how they handled Julian, cute kid, love the kid, but the humor was completely unnecessary. So I just think it's important that we reel that in, and it feels really organic to the moment. I don't believe Julian, when Michael comes out of the closet to kill his babysitter, oh shit, and he quips to Dave as he's running down the stairs. That just would not happen. I want to see a terrified, frightened little boy. I want to see that kid terrified, like you're watching a 48 Hours documentary, or, Dateline, NBC, when you hear those like 911 calls, from those little kids. That's what I want to see, because that's real. That's organic. That's what would happen. Not kids quipping as they're running down the stairs. You don't need it. It's unnecessary. So it's not that humor can't be in the movie. Humor's nice, and often horror and humor do go together. But it's appropriately placed humor that just relieves tension for just a moment. So I agree with you, man. That's what I'm hoping. 3C Film Super Chat. Thanks very much, buddy. Says, keep up the great work, Dave. Love your opinions on Halloween news and ideas for how they kill Michael in Halloween Kills. I think he just gets away. At the end of Halloween Kills. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. And I believe that Halloween Kills happens the same night. It's all in one night. Now, whether Halloween Ends happens in the same night, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if it did. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I would not be surprised if Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends all take place the same night. Now, to be fair, you would probably then have to understand that Halloween Ends, at the very least, is actually happening November 1st, early in the morning, but that doesn't matter. It's still, for all intents and purposes, it's Halloween night, right? I know once you cross midnight, technically it's not Halloween anymore, and it's November 1st, but it's still Halloween night, right? It's still that same night. So you could do Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends all that one night. And then Halloween Ends at dawn, right? Once you start to see daybreak, that's when Halloween is officially over. Could totally see that, 100%. Let's see here. Super chat from Big G, not Little G, Big G. Big G says, why was Myers following Lonnie from the school in Halloween 1978? I never understood this. He wasn't following Lonnie. He wasn't following Lonnie. He was following Tommy. Yeah, no, the kid that Michael Myers was following in Halloween, the original, was Tommy, not Lonnie. Lonnie's the tall one. he's the tall one with the number, it's either a 12 or a 42. It's kind of hard to tell on his shirt. That's Lonnie, the tall one. Richie is the one that runs into Michael by the fence. And he's like, and then he takes off. That's not Lonnie, that's Richie. And then he takes off. Lonnie's the one in the red jacket. And Tommy is the one that was, I guess was Tommy in a red jacket too? I think he was. Anyway, he is the one that Michael Myers follows. Mark Jones says, love from Scotland. Your opinions on Halloween are the best, Dave. What do you think should happen? Who do you think should end Michael and Halloween Ends? It should be Laurie Strode. It should be Laurie. If it's not going to be Laurie, then the next person, if it's not going to be Laurie, then the next person it should be is Tommy. Because, and the reason for it is this. Laurie is where it all began, and it completes that overarching theme of fate, right? And it plays into the themes and the symbolism that the original film had created. You don't need the brother-sister arc to do that and still make the theme of fate relevant. So it begins and ends with Laurie and Michael Myers. And I mean really ends. Michael doesn't continue on after that. That's where it ends, because that's what it's been all about. And if you want some ideas of how they can do that, go watch my sequel concept idea video. If it's not going to be Laurie, hypothetically, and Laurie dies, let's say, then it probably should be Tommy. And the reason for that is because it's connected to the original film. And Tommy was the anchor of that original movie that helped Laurie to see that the boogeyman was real. Tommy's the one that believed in the boogeyman. Laurie was the one that said there's no such thing. Tommy was the one looking out the window. Laurie, the boogeyman's outside. Laurie, he's out there. Tommy, there's nobody out there. But the boogeyman's outside. Laurie, what's the boogeyman? I mean, he was the one. And then at the end of Halloween, you've heard me say this, but it bears repeating because it's relevant. At the end of the original film, he's gone, right? He's not there. But Laurie says to Dr. Loomis, it was the boogeyman. And Dr. Loomis says, as a matter of fact, it was. That's Laurie's moment. That's Laurie's completion. That's the completion of her character's arc, right? That, oh my God, Tommy was right. It was the boogeyman, right? And then you solidify that with him being gone. That him being gone was not to set up a sequel. Him being gone was to solidify the message of the movie. Shit, it was the boogeyman. So if there's anybody outside of Laurie that it could end with, then it would be Tommy, because I think it brings it right back to the original film, and it's a nice sort of circle there. I mean, I don't want Lindsay killing Michael Myers. I don't want Marion killing him. I don't necessarily want Brackett killing him. I don't want Lonnie Lamb killing him. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's got to rhyme. It's got to be there has to be some poetry here, right? And I think that's the way to do it. Super chat comes in from Michael Myers. My God, Michael Myers is in the fucking chat room. Dave, huge fan of your work. Question: how would you end Halloween Ends? I think Laurie's niece will be the last one standing. Bobby from Vancouver. Hey, fellow Canadian. All right. Well, I mean, again, I mean, I've said this. If you go and listen to my sequel concept idea video, then you will understand how I think it should end. But I think it should really end. Like it actually does end. Michael Myers should be killed. But you kill him in a way, and I did this in my video, you kill him in a way that still plants the seed of doubt in the viewer's mind. So the viewers are left thinking that, well, he is gone, but you plant the seed of doubt through a philosophical mean, okay? Right? Through symbolism and things that the audience can, ponder over in their mind. You don't end the movie with, his eyes opening or a shadow on the wall or him coming out of the closet. No. You don't end it like that. Don't end it in a stereotypical, cheesy, lame-ass way. You end it with intelligence. You end it treating your audience like they're smart enough to get it. And at the end of my sequel concept idea video, and I will tell you this, it doesn't ruin it because you can still go back and get the full effect. But at the end of the video, I kill Michael Myers. But I plant the seed of doubt in the audience's mind because the very last words you hear are Dr. Loomis saying, "You fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me." Which is something he said in the TV version of the original Halloween, which technically isn't officially canon. But I'm using that as like, oh, what does that mean? But you never make another one. Not in this current timeline, right? Like in this current incarnation of the character. You never make another one. You don't use that to set up another sequel. No. You just go, oh, what does that mean? Oh shit, what does that mean? That's how you end it. You treat your audience like they're smart, okay? And you plant the seed of doubt in a philosophical way into their heads of what does that mean? What does it mean? Like what could this mean, right? And the audience will still feel fulfilled despite the fact that Michael didn't, open his eyes at the end and come out and all that kind of stuff. But you have to not make another one. And that ending would be epic, in my opinion. I'm a little biased because that's how I ended it in my sequel concept idea video, but go watch it if you haven't. Grab some popcorn. It's two hours something long, and just listen. You're not going to like everything, but try to visualize the idea. Again, it's a concept. There's so many things in that video that I could still flesh out and tweak and all that. It's just the basic idea of what I think would have been awesome to see. So anyway, okay, super chat from Bailey. Bailey, am I saying that? Bailla? Bailey? I think I'm saying that right. Anyway, super chat, £2. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, I'll go for a little bit longer. Rick Baker. Hi, Dave. Did you notice that Allison's dad mentioned his best friend is Lonnie? Yes, I did. Maybe that is why he is returning, because Allison's dad is killed by Michael. Yes, that could be true. But also, Cameron, Allison's boyfriend, is Lonnie's son. So I think even if Cameron was, or even if Allison's dad was not best friends with, I think you could still bring him back because their children are dating. So it's, it kind of makes sense. Let's see here. Movie Chat and More says, hey Dave, do you think they finally have the rights to the Shatner mask? No. I don't know. I don't really know. I think it could have been just a matter of making it look a bit different. Or maybe the weathering on the mask is enough to get past the copyright. I don't know. That would be a question for Blumhouse or Christopher Nelson. I'm not really sure. It's possible, but I didn't hear anything about that, and that would have been juicy news. Shardy_Dark says, hey Dave, we know how you would kill Michael Myers, but how would you think David Gordon Green and Danny McBride will kill him? I don't know. You can write something, but the studios, who are the ones that give you the money to make a movie, they ultimately have say. And I might present something, and Blumhouse might say, Dave, we love your script. Like, oh, awesome. We want you to direct. Oh my God, that's amazing. We think your ending's dog shit. Why? Well, because you kill off the shape, and it's solidified. It's too much. Yeah, but I have, Dr. Loomis saying, you think you fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me. It's so great. Think about it. No, and I'm trying to sell it, right? And the studio's like, yeah, I get it. No, Dave, we need it open. We need it really left open in case we want to do more. And then if I say, I don't want to do it, but potentially if they own the rights, then they could be like, okay, well, we'll find somebody else to direct it then. It's why it's so important to have a good relationship with the studios and the producers you work for, especially on the studio level. You know, independent, it's different, right? But when you get to that level, if you have a good relationship and you know how to sell and communicate, and you can really get the producers to buy into the vision and trust you as the filmmaker and as the director and the writer, then the probability goes up that you will likely then have a chance on completing your vision. But if you're not very good at it, then there's a chance that you won't be able to do certain things because they see it a different way. So, how do I think they're going to end it? I don't know. It depends on what Blumhouse wants. It will, because things can change. A lot of things can change. And just because you, like, a script can be locked, signed, sealed, and delivered. And this is what we're going to shoot. But scripts can change. And sometimes when you get on location, especially if you get on location, you can understand that, you know, things can change and you can alter scenes and shoot multiple endings. And so they could have a solidified ending right now, but depending on how well Halloween Kills does at the box office will largely dictate what they do in Halloween Ends. I guarantee you that may have been one of the factors why they didn't shoot back to back. Because they're like, okay, well, let's see how Halloween Kills does, you know? Well, actually, they're planning on, actually, no, that's not true. I take that back because they're planning on shooting that early next year. So they're going to know how, but that doesn't mean they can't do a couple of reshoots and shoot multiple endings like that. They could totally do that too. I don't know. All I know is that I hope Blumhouse has the balls to pull the trigger and say, we're done. That doesn't mean forever. It just means right now, we're done. The story of Michael Myers is done. That doesn't mean 10 years from now you don't revisit it, okay? But this is done. Because you don't do it and then what, 3 years from now you reboot it again? What are you going to do? Why? Like, it doesn't... can you do it better this time? Like, I just don't understand. So I don't know what they're going to do. I just hope they have the balls to really end it. But end it in a way like I ended mine. End it with a sense of integrity that's intelligent and really helps the audience feel okay about things ending. It's okay for things to end, and you want your audience to feel fulfilled. That's the most important thing. Don't end Halloween Ends on a cliffhanger. Do not end Halloween Ends on a cliffhanger. Anybody from Blumhouse watching, do not end that movie on a cliffhanger. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. End it. End it. A couple super chats came in. Let's see here. Let me see. Mark Williams, thank you, Mark, says, what if the Lonnie flashback is moments before Michael is captured? So this is Michael's post-shot by Loomis. Hell, I don't know. I feel like doing Robert De Niro. Could it be? Maybe. I've often speculated about that. When I was doing the videos I did several weeks ago, I speculated about that. Is this after he was shot? But I forget, there was something in the analyzing of those videos that told me I don't think it was. And I forget now what it was. I'd have to go back and watch those videos. But there was something in the analyzing of those videos, some bit of information I was able to decipher that made me think that the probability is that it's actually before. But you could be right, Mark. You could be right. Ethan LeBlanc, thank you, Ethan. Once again, awesome, man. Says, is your sequel concept during the long shot of Laurie, Tommy, and Brackett with theme? Which theme would you have playing? Something classic or new? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I would just have the elements of the environment. So you hear the wind blowing. You hear the wind picking up, right? You hear, the sirens off in the distance. You hear the foliage. You hear the environment that they're in. Climbing over fences, going through houses, doors opening, glass breaking beneath their feet, right? It really creates this gritty sense of authenticity. So for those of you that don't know what Ethan is talking about, in my sequel concept idea video, I have this great which I think would be great, this great one-shot take of Tommy, Brackett, and Laurie going from house to house trying to find the shape. And they're finding people dead. They're finding people hiding in corners and shit. And of course, this is amongst a thunderstorm and this kind of stuff. And I don't know if I'd have any music. Did I say there was music there? I might have. I can't remember. But I would be open to not having anything there and just utilizing the environment of and just play into that. Oh, man, that'd be intense. Really intense. That'd be fucking intense. You hear the screams, the glass breaking, the wind, the thunder. Woo! I'm telling you. This is a life blogger. Lonnie sees the shape before he goes to the garage to get an E. Maybe. Zach Frederick says, you and this... Oh, what do we see here? You and... I missed it. You end this one, and then you start right in on Halloween Anthology that doesn't have anything to do with Michael Myers. Yeah, that's what we talked about, Zach. The hard part is the IP, is the brand, right? Michael Myers is the brand of Halloween, which is why turning to streaming for Anthology might be better. Might be. I don't know how well an Anthology series in the Halloween universe would do at the box office. But you never know. It's relative to your budget. You make an Anthology film worth $5 million, you make 30, 40 million at the box office, you're laughing, right? It's all relative to your budget, so, but Michael is the brand, and to move away from that brand can be difficult. But can it be done? Yes. At no other time in cinema history than now is it likely to have success, because Anthology is very much in the pop culture now. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. But why not old Charlie Bowles? Let's get old Charlie Bowles in there, right? Let's see. Super chat from Chris Baber. Chris, my man, how you doing? I'm very interested in the flashback mask myself. Me too. I'm very curious on how they're going to utilize the mask in the flashback. I don't want to see it full on. I want them to continue what they were doing in the original Halloween. In the original Halloween, you were able to see the mask more clearly once nightfall came and shit hit the fan. But it's not like we were focusing on it. Even when Michael busts through the closet and he turns on the light for a brief second, it's a brief second. The light turns on and then off. A great little shot so you can see his mask for just a split second. But it's not like we're getting, we get any sort of real good look at the mask in any sort of detail. In this flashback, they need to honor that and continue that moving forward. They have to continue that. So when Lonnie has his flashback, we can see the mask, that's fine. But don't have Michael there like this and he's on screen and he does this and Lonnie comes up and he has a conversation with him. What are you doing out here? Like your cool costume, man. And you hear his breathing and he's looking and his face is lit up like a Christmas tree from a lamppost. And they're like, no, don't do that. Honor the cinematic style, because this is supposed to be 1978 now. It's got to feel like this was a scene that that should be able to be placed organically into Halloween 1978. And so it's got to feel like that. So I'm with you, man. I'm curious on what the mask looks like, because is it going to look like what the mask looked like in 1978? But I think it's important that they honor the visual style by not showing us too much. Another super chat came in from Corvette 1999100. Is that your prison number? Best Halloween news comes from you, Dave. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm really excited to see these flashbacks. They have to be careful playing in this timeline, though. It has to be done right. I agree, which is why I don't think somebody mentioned earlier that they hope that, and they would love it if it was a 10-minute flashback. To me, that's a big no-no. The quicker you can get in and out, the better. I suspect that it will be a flashback, and it might be broken up as well. I mean, let's not forget, we might see a bit of it. You know, you might see 30 seconds of it, and then 10 or 15 minutes further into the movie, maybe Lonnie's has another moment where you see more of it, right? It might not be all in one chunk. I don't suspect that the flashback will be, or it's told through Laurie's eyes, or Brackett. It might be told through Brackett's eyes as well, right? Because Brackett was there that night, right? And so Brackett is likely to maybe have some exposition with Laurie at her hospital bedside, maybe. And he's telling some shit, and we cut back to 1978 and we see some stuff. It may not just be one flashback moment with Lonnie. That might be one, but there might be a couple of them, you know, placed throughout the film. That's entirely possible as well. But I agree with you. Okay, we'll go for another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes here. That'll make it 90 minutes. 90 minutes. I think very few people watch these. I don't think people watch 3-hour live streams, do they? I don't know. Unless you're Joe Rogan, maybe. Lex Beltran says, it would be cool if Laurie suddenly encounters Dr. Loomis' spirit and he gives her advice. Like Dr. Loomis is a force ghost? Can you imagine? She's there and he's like, Laurie, it's me. And he's drinking. Laurie, I always wanted to get in your pants. Just thought I would let you know. Then you know all bets are off. Then you know all bets are off, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Carter says, I think she might be responding. I see. Yes, gonna do some dance moves at the end of this live. Oh. That's right. No, so far the live stream has been holding up, so that is good. That is positive, thank goodness. The Manhammer AR-15 says, Dave, do you think Wilford Brimley would make a good Dr. Loomis? I don't know. It depends if he's got his diabetes all under control. Holly Klein says, Loomis's ghost smelling like scotch. Yes, exactly. He's there at Laurie's bedside. Dr. Loomis? That's right, it's me, Laurie. I thought I would come back and give you some advice. And he just keels over and he's glowing like a Luke Skywalker Force ghost. I don't know. Lee Bauer says, Dave McRae, can't wait for Halloween Kills. What do you think the poster would look like? I hope they keep it simple. I don't want it heavily involved. Like, I don't want some wild, crazy artwork. I think keep it simple. Have it different, but keep it simple. I think maybe have a little more than what you had on the Halloween 2018 poster, but maybe have something like, I don't know, like just less is more. Simple, but really effective. In terms of what imagery is going to be on there, I don't know. I haven't really given it much thought. I've seen some really cool fan ideas though, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, less is more. Keep it consistent. Keep the branding consistent. Keep it simple. Dustin Pritchard says, Loomis's face force ghost. No one is ever really gone. He doesn't know death is. Exactly. No one is ever really gone. And then Michael can become a Sith ghost. It's all there. It's all there. Super chat from Big G. Thanks, buddy. Says, sir, have you noticed in Halloween 2, 1981, Loomis shoots Myers 7 times, but says to the cop that he shot him 6 times. In the original, he shot him 6. Yeah, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. Yes, I have noticed that. Also, in the original Halloween credits, Michael Myers is credited as 23 years old. Now, the shape is Nick Castle, but then Michael Myers, who is Tony Moran because he's the unmasked version, he's credited as 23 years old, which is a mistake. He's not 23, he was 21. But what boggles my mind is, okay, they made a mistake, they goofed, okay, it's a low-budget independent film, what are you going to do? Especially when it's out there. But what blows my mind is that they make the same mistake in Halloween 2. If you watch the end credits to Halloween 2 from 1981, the same mistake is there. Michael Myers, age 23. And I'm like, You make it again? And then I think to myself, out of all the different versions that have been released, out of all the transfers from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray to 4K to, tweaking this and tweaking that and color correcting this and color correcting that and adding this behind the scenes and this commentary, no one ever thought to go in and just delete that, hey, let's just redo the credits here and put that. I guess it just wasn't important enough to them. But for me, because I'm a stickler for details, I'm really anal that way. If it was my movie, that would bother me. It would bother me like there was no end. I'd be like, that's just not true. He's not 23, he's 21. Yeah, who cares? 23, 21. Yeah, but he's not 20. And even in Halloween 2, Dr. Loomis says, Michael Myers is 21. Right? Of course, because he is. And then in the credits it says 23. Has always bothered me. Crazy stuff. Yes, I have noticed that, by the way. Okay, a few more here. Let's see here. And again, if I didn't get to your questions, of course, there's nothing personal. Obviously, I have to prioritize the super chats for obvious reasons. And of course, at one point, we had 540 people in this chat room, which is totally awesome. I think you guys are amazing. So thank you for that. It's because I like to be thorough with my answers. So that's why I take a long time. David Ferguson says, Michael Myers, age 23 with a blonde-haired mask. That's right. Bobby Hall says, Dave, have you listened to the track Hawkins Arrives at Crash Site from the H-18 extended soundtrack? They should have used that music in the movie. It was chilling. I have not yet, but I'm going to. Thank you, Bobby, for the recommendation. Brooke Louie, thank you, Brooke, once again, for supporting the channel. Why was Lori in an asylum in Illinois when she cut the EMT's head off in California? Not that resurrection makes any sense, but I notice all that. Was she? Was the asylum that she was in at the beginning of... I didn't know that. I thought that was also in California. I mean, to be fair, I think both movies are dog shit shows, and I don't watch them at all on a regular basis. So I didn't know that. Now, I mean, obviously I'm not American, so I would imagine off the top of my head, my instinct is, well, maybe because she was born in Illinois, that there's a state thing, that maybe she had to be transferred to her home state because of where she was. I don't know. I know things can vary between state to state. Like up here in Canada, things can vary between province to province. So I'm not really sure. But I always thought she was in an asylum in California. And then Michael just makes his way back to Haddonfield. You could be right though, Brooke. You could be right. Yeah, where you do the crime, you do the time. Well, that's what it's like here too. And for the most part, yeah, that is what it's like in the States. So maybe you're right. Maybe that was a bit, I don't know. I mean, there's so much crap about that movie. You could be right. Super chat from RHG Damasio. Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated. The production team doesn't get H78 as much as they think they do. Easter eggs don't make these films clever. Pace, atmosphere do. Why are they being ham-fisted about making these feel like Friday the 13th? Well, listen, not to launch into a long diatribe, but I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. It's why, at the end of the day, even calling the hospital in Halloween Kills Haddonfield Memorial is unnecessary. You actually don't have to do that because Halloween 2 never happened. So you could have called it Haddonfield St. Michael Hospital. You could have called it anything. They did that for nostalgic purposes. Even the logo is the exact same. There's a couple of shots of a couple of EMTs that look like they're wearing the same jackets, unless that was just a couple of the crew members who picked up some fright rags gear. Maybe, I'm not sure. But there is no logical reason to do that other than to just, for nostalgic fan service reasons. And that's okay. I mean, you can totally do that. But the crux of your argument is right. That at the end of the day, fan service is fine, okay? When it's placed and utilized properly. There's nothing wrong with fan service. There isn't. But you're right. At the end of the day, the crux here is capitalizing on what made the original and the original intent of the character so special. And I mean, I could launch into a diatribe. You guys know all about it though. And just watch my review for Halloween 2018. It's up on my channel. I think it's called the Epic Halloween 2018 Review. I think it's closing in on 50,000 now or something like that. You can check it out. It's like an hour long. I go through all of it and my thoughts. Southpaw 82 says, thank you very much, Southpaw says, hope John does more with the score and uses more classic themes and no more off-screen kills. Also keep the same serious tone of 2018. Well, I mean, you know, David Gordon Green has a very specific style, and I have a feeling that I'm actually going to enjoy Halloween Kills more than I enjoyed Halloween 2018. And the primary reason for that is not because it is going to be a better movie necessarily, but it's more and it could be. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of the crew and the people that were there. Oh, you guys are gonna love it. But I mean, yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, you have to say that, you know. And I'm not saying that they don't genuinely believe that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're lying. But what I'm saying is that people who work on films, many are also contractually obligated, not necessarily the crew, but a lot of people are contractually obligated that when they do the talk show circuit to talk positively about the projects they're working on. So you take it with a grain of salt. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you know, I was there on set. I worked. Oh, looks, you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. That's great. And I believe that they believe that. But, you know, we'll wait and see. But I have a feeling because this is a direct sequel to the 2018 film and not the 78 film, although it is still unpacking a lot of the 78 mythology, I think I'm going to enjoy this movie more because I know what to expect. I understand David Gordon Green's cinematic style and his approach to this world, and there's no doubt that it's going to look and feel very similar to the 2018 film in terms of its visual aesthetic and appeal. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't take it up a notch and utilize some things that maybe he didn't utilize in the first movie. Doesn't mean that at all. But I'm expecting now to see much of what I saw in the 2018 film. So therefore, any icing on the cake, which is more in line with the original film, will just be awesome. I've said this before. The 2018 film is not a bad movie. It's not a great Halloween movie, in my opinion. It's a good modern day horror film, which largely fails as a Halloween movie. So many missed opportunities. But what they did do well, they did really well, which makes what they didn't do well that much more frustrating, in my opinion. But listen, making movies is tough. It's really, really tough. I'm not knocking anybody who worked on that film. There's just a lot of creative decisions that were made that I would not have made at the end of the day. And I would have done things differently. But this new movie, I think I'm going to enjoy it more, potentially, because I can see it for what it is now. And I can watch it, you know, for what it is. But I hope that they still carry on and honor what John was doing in that first movie, because that first movie has a very specific formula and cinematic approach that made that movie what it is. There's a very specific ingredient, and if you get rid of it, you're in big trouble. All right, Super Chat, Big G, Halloween 2, Myers doesn't kill the Elrods. Why not? Why doesn't he kill the Elrods? Because he didn't consider them a threat. It's one of the reasons why people ask me, why didn't Meyer kill the babies in the Halloween 2 there, the original Halloween 2, and why didn't he kill the baby in Halloween 2018? He has a love for kids. No, that's not necessarily it. When you look at Michael Myers the way I look at him, from a predatory, sort of instinctual being, so to speak, that he has no motive. And again, I'm talking about conscious reason. Okay, motive, yes. If you look up the purest definition of the word motive, it just means a reason for anything, right? You know, I could go like this. Oh, I picked up my water bottle, I took a sip. What was my motive? I was thirsty. Oh, there's his motive, right? But we're talking about criminal motive. We're talking about a logical reason for doing what he's doing. We're talking about something that a prosecutor would look towards to make sense of what's going on. And because Michael has no prior history with any of his victims in the original Halloween, despite Judith, we're talking about why is he killing Annie? Why is he killing Bob? Why is he killing Linda, right? There is no reason. He has no motive, right?
He's purely and simply evil. And Dr. Loomis spills that out for us, right? No conscience, no reason, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death. He's painting this picture that he is just this instinctual force of nature. And so why doesn't he kill the Elrods? Why doesn't he kill the baby? Well, when you look at it from like Michael is a predator, essentially. He's an eating, killing machine, as Richard Dreyfuss said in Jaws. But he doesn't see the Elrods as a threat, and he doesn't see the baby as a threat. There is statistical scientific evidence from animal behaviorists who watch animals, cats, dogs, in the wild, all this kind of thing. There's evidence of predatory animals taking care of. Now, there's also evidence of predatory animals killing babies as well, but I'm just saying there's also evidence of, dogs taking care of kittens and cats taking care of puppies and, predatory animals, out in the wild taking care of another species that's a baby or not, it's all about threat. And I think what's happening is that Michael doesn't see the baby as a threat. So there's no reason for him to unnecessarily, instinctually kill the baby or kill the babies. And I think the same thing happens with the Elrods. I think because they're older and they're an old couple and you want mayonnaise on your sandwich. I don't know. He got the knife and he looks at them and it's just like, nah, like I just don't, I don't see it. In terms of that. So, I mean, but to know exactly what's going on in Michael's head is difficult to figure out. We don't know. And that is the best thing about Michael Myers. That's what makes the original intent of that character so great, and why that enigma and the anonymity of the why factor to Michael must remain intact right up to the end of Halloween Ends. When Michael hopefully is killed at the end of Halloween Ends, there should not be this big reveal moment and this explanation of the why factor. He must go down, us never knowing the true reason of the why, because that's what makes him stand out amongst Jason and Freddy and Chucky and Leatherface and Pinhead and all these other horror characters. We know the why. We know why Freddy does what he does. We know his backstory. We know his motives. We know why Jason does what he does. We know his backstory. We know what happened to him. We don't know the why with Michael Myers, and that must remain intact. And I hope it does. I hope they're smart enough to understand that that is vitally important. That's, even if many of us don't realize it consciously, subconsciously, that's one of the reasons why you are so attracted to this character, because you're in this perpetual state of trying to figure things out. It's the mystery. You know what I mean? And so it's got to remain there. All right. Let me see here. I think I did it. Okay, just take a couple of non-super chats here. Sebastian Sidon says, Dave, do you think making Michael Myers supernatural would diminish what David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have going on right now? No, I think it's about balance, right? I think it's there is a supernatural element to him. There should be a supernatural element to him. It just should not be overt, and this, it's so like he's walking through walls and shooting lightning. And I mean, it's not like that. He just does things that are perplexing. And you're like, how the fuck did he, how did he, what? That's got to remain there, right? Because that's part of the mystery. That's part of his MO, is to be there, not there, and to go here and do this, or to have all, you have to keep that there. You can't make him too human, right? And I think in the 2018 film, they did that. I think you need to split the difference. Matthew Reed says, I think the flashback should be the opening scene. It would be epic if the movie started and it was Halloween 78. Personally feel flashbacks in the middle could ruin pacing and be corny. Thoughts? Maybe. It's all in the execution. I just hope that the flashback is relevant, that the flashback makes sense. That it's not just there because, oh, look, we're going back to 1978. Hey, look, everybody, look, it's 1978. Do you remember that time that you loved and that movie that you loved? The best one in the franchise, the best one in the series. There it is. Look, we're recreating it. Look, isn't that neat? Isn't that cool? I don't give a fuck. Is the flashback relevant? Is it important? Does it help, progress the narrative and push the narrative forward? Is it really relevant to Lonnie's character, right? That's what it's all about, right? Because the actors are there to serve the story, not the other way around. So I really hope that it makes sense in that regard. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. Could it ruin pacing? I mean, it's all in the execution. It's all in the why is this here and is it relevant? And we'll see. But there's no doubt in my mind that before I let you guys go, I just want to say that I think the vast majority of this film is going to be spent with Tommy, Lindsay, Marion, Lonnie, and the people doing the vigilante sort of stuff. And then we'll bounce back and forth between that to Laurie in the hospital with Brackett. I think that's the structure of the story so far from what I'm hearing from a few people connected to the set. And of course, they haven't said too much because NDAs are obviously signed. But this is the ballpark of what I'm thinking. But even watching the teaser, there's a lot of people talking about Halloween Online that has sort of come to that conclusion as well. I mean, this isn't rocket science here, folks, right? So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, obviously, they've entered post-production now, and that'll be happening over the next several months. And I don't know when they're going to go to camera for Halloween Ends. Probably early next year, maybe February, March. I'm not too sure. Maybe in the spring, because they'll want to wait until, depending on where they shoot, of course, they may go back to North Carolina to shoot, but they're going to want to wait until the foliage has more of that autumn vibe again. And that, although they did shoot Halloween 2018 in January, so maybe it is. I suspect that they're taking a break, wait till the holidays are over, Christmas is done, New Year is there, they start into the new year. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me here on this live stream, talking Halloween predictions, teaser, addendum, and of course, taking your live questions, AMA. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for the super chats as well and supporting the channel in that way. I think you guys are awesome. Don't forget the link in the description to Dylan's new Nightmare Indiegogo campaign. Whatever you can do to help support is greatly appreciated. We really want to get to the budget that they are trying to raise, because that is because of that, then we can actually produce the film worthy of producing and not just make a scene or something to that effect. And then that way I can play Freddy Krueger full on in a 25-30 minute short opposite Miko Hughes. So if you can't help support it financially, that's okay. Just spread the word, share it on horror sites and platforms, upload videos talking about it yourself. Anything you can do to help is greatly appreciated. So, and the Facebook page to my Black Christmas fan film, It's Me, Billy, that I'm currently in development on, is also down in the description as well as links to everything else in regards to me. So, yeah. Also, this Friday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a special episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Tony, Michael, and I are going to be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street live here like we did the original Halloween, taking your Q&A all through the feed and then turning it over to just a Q&A after the commentary is done, because this Saturday marks the 35th anniversary of since when the original A Nightmare on Elm Street was released into theaters back in 1984. Tony, Michael, and I can't do it on Saturday night, so we're going to do it on Friday night. That's 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, episode 45 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, live Elm Street commentary, so tune in for that. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.